Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope wherever you are in this amazing planet of ours that you've had an absolutely sensational week. Isn't it an interesting week to be alive? You know, fingers crossed we might finally see some peace in Ukraine. Hopefully, who knows? But, you know, I'm always erring on the side of optimism and positivity, and let's hope that's the case. So this week's Simply Tarot card is a really nice card. It's called the Magician. Now, the Magician is the element of surprise. Now, surprises aren't always good, as we know. Sometimes surprises aren't necessarily good. Sometimes they're bad. So it's the card that sort of says to you, be on your guard. Things are happening. Things are changing. Things are changing out of nowhere. It can happen very, very fast. When you look very closely at the card, the Magician has the four elements on the table. He has the cup, the wand, the sword, and the pentacle. So he has all the tools at his fingertips that he can create the surprises that he's looking for in his life or her life. And it's an opportunity now for things to sort of be shaken up and moved along. So it's a very positive card, in my opinion. Yes, sometimes not all the surprises we get in life are positive, but they usually end up being for our own good. And it usually means that we've been in a rut and we've been ignoring something or not wanting to do something, and all of a sudden something comes along and forces our hand. And sometimes life just intervenes in that way that we didn't know we needed to go on that path, but all of a sudden that's the path that we're heading on. So always look to the Magician. If the Magician comes out in a reading, that it's a time of change, it's a time of unknown, it's a time of things that are going to take you a little bit by surprise, and sometimes they're not quite so good, and other times they're absolutely sensational and amazing. So you can never really predict, because the Magician is one of those sort of neutral sort of cards. Now, this week astrologically, I think I say it every week recently that, you know, we've got a big week astrologically, as we've had for quite a long time. But I think the biggest news this week is Mercury's gone direct, and everybody's clapping and cheering and saying, hallelujah, finally, you know, we're starting to sort of get some clarity back in communication, thinking, and parcels being delivered, and, you know, all our technologies working for a change and all these sort of things. It's been a really difficult Mercury retrograde this time. Look, my inbox has been full, so's my cell phone, of people sort of saying, what on earth is Mercury doing this time? I've had more people tell me about Mercury retrograde than I've ever had in my whole entire career. So that sort of says something, that this was a very powerful retrograde. I didn't escape it either, you know, as much as for all my knowledge, and, you know, I can tell people to triple check things. Mercury still has his way of playing little tricks and not necessarily getting things delivered on time or to the right address or whatever the case may be. But good news is Mercury's direct, and we get a few months reprieve now where we can sort of comfortably sort of bed back into our daily grind and our routine, and sort of know that if we send something or we send a message, hopefully people are listening and it gets there on time. So the sun is in Leo. It's the final days of it being in Leo. So happy birthday to all the Leos. This is a very action-packed time of the year. It sort of says that we're sort of almost 3/4 of the way through. We've got this final push, no matter what your star sign is, to try and complete the things or get things underway that we promised ourselves at the beginning of the year with our New Year's resolutions. And this is the sort of like the final drive forward. So it's really important that we utilize this energy of the next few days before the energy moves into Virgo, where it will become a little bit more subdued. It won't be sort of this fiery passion to get everything sort of sorted. So make sure that if you've got some projects on the go or things that you need to get cracking on, now's the time to do it. And then we can go into a more practical, logical, sort of direct sort of way when the energy moves into Virgo. So, you know, but we've got to get things started. It's like we've got to start the fire now so we can then move it into a more practical, logical way. So interestingly enough, the real planetary focus at the moment is in Cancer. Now, for all the Cancerians out there, and they don't particularly want to put their hand up, I know, because they don't like to be in the limelight. They like to sort of hide in the shadows a little bit and bask in the glory that way. The real emphasis on today's show is about the energy that's sitting in Cancer. So when I'm talking about it being in Cancer, it also affects the other water signs, which is Scorpio, Pisces, and the opposite sign of Capricorn but it is also gently washing over the remaining 8 signs. So the moon is conjunct or holding hands Jupiter at the moment in Cancer. Now, the moon moves very quickly. 2.5 days is the maximum it stays in any sign. So it moves very, very quickly. So the moon is the emotional planet, it's the governing planet of Cancer. So it's also sort of showing us or sharing with us that, emotions could be very high at the moment. They could be positive or they could be not so positive. So, but we need to work with this energy. But what it's asking us, I think, more importantly, no matter what your sign is, the moon is conjunct Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is the planet of expansion, opportunity, new directions in our lives, getting new projects off the ground. So, this to me says, focus on the things that you're passionate about. Focus on the things that you are emotionally connected to. This is the time to put the emotion, the passion into getting something off the ground. It also handles very well with what I just spoke about with, the sun being in Leo. It's like we've got, the balance of the yin and the yang at the moment, no matter what your star sign is. If you're trying to get something off the ground, now is the time to push it. Now is the time to sort of set it in motion and try and get everything moving as quickly as you possibly can. We may not be able to get completion phases yet, but we can certainly start things and we can certainly start to move things along. Now, with it being in Cancer, Cancer is a water sign, obviously, but it's also showing us that we need to listen to our intuition. We need to listen to what our gut feeling is telling us and to move things along in that sort of way. And if it feels right, then do it. If it feels not quite so right, then look at the reasons why it doesn't feel right. There may be parts of the decision or the choices or the action that you need to take that you can put into action, and there might be other parts that you need to leave for another day. So let your intuition, let your gut feeling give you the guidance here of how fast we push, how much we push, or whether it's time to sort of actually act or not. Don't make the mistake of thinking lack of confidence means it's the wrong time, that my instincts, my intuition, my psychic abilities telling me now's not the time. You've got to differentiate between your lack of confidence and what is your gut actually sort of telling you? What is your psychic ability actually telling you? And we all have psychic ability. It's just a matter of some of us develop it better than others. And I look at it like being like exercise or applying yourself to something. The more you do it, the better you get. And, for some people, they don't want to use that word, gut feeling, or I had a hunch, or I certainly don't have psychic ability, and a lot of people sort of feel that way. And that's okay. It doesn't matter what label you put on it, as long as you follow what feels right to you or what you know to be right for you, that's the right path. And, we don't always have to put labels on things and all have to conform. We can all do things in other ways, that in a way that's natural to us. Now, still staying in the Cancer energy, so I'm not going to go through the signs again. It's affecting all of us. We have what's known as the part of fortune. Now, the part of fortune is not a planet. It's an Arabian part, which is showing us where we've got opportunities to make things really right, or to expand our horizons out, or to bring things towards us that may have been blocked or not ready to come forward yet. So what it's showing us here is with the part of fortune conjunct or holding hands Venus, also sitting in Cancer, is it showing us, for no matter what your star sign is, if you're seeking love or you want to bring in new love into your life, you need to go to places that are going to have a very homely feel, a very Cancer feel. So the Cancer energy is water. So anything connected with water, whether it be the seaside, the lake, the river, the pond, the fountain down in the town, something that's connected to water. It could have water in the name of the venue that you might be going out for a night out with friends, and it might be the Watertown Tavern, or the Bayside restaurant, or something like that, something that's got water in the name. It's also asking you to sort of look at things in a different sort of way. With the part of fortune here, is asking you to look at and tell yourself that you are fortunate, that you have got the opportunity to bring new things into your life, the things that you deserve. Now, quite often when we're seeking love or we're looking for a new relationship, we don't always feel worthy of the fact that we deserve to have happiness in our lives. We do it because other people put pressure on us, or we've come out of a relationship, or we think it's time we had one. We don't always approach it in the right sort of way, saying, I am worthy of being loved. I am a nice person. I'm a good person. I have a lot to offer. if the right person was to cross my path and we formed an association and hopefully fall in love, I have a lot to bring to the table. Quite often, I think we come out of previous relationships or upbringings or situations in our lives where we're a little bit battered and bruised, and we don't always sort of feel as if we can achieve what we need to achieve in our lives because we're trying to sort of, you know, pull ourselves together and put band-aids on ourselves and hold ourselves together, that we don't truly believe that we're worthy of love. I want to share with you that each person on this planet is worthy of love. It's a matter of getting out of bed every morning, looking in the mirror, and don't look at the wrinkles or the pimples or the, you know, your hair's not sitting right. Look at the soul and sort of say to yourself, I'm a good person, I'm worthy of love, I deserve to be loved, and I deserve to have someone special in my life that I can share my life with. And that's the important way to look at it. So, you know, if you're seeking new love, as I suggested, something with water in the sign, or go somewhere near the water. But most importantly, tell yourself and mean it that you are worthy of love and you deserve to be loved. And it's time now for you to bring in a new relationship. We also have Uranus, the planet of the unusual and unexpected, has come out of a long stint in Taurus, has now been in Gemini for a little while now, and will be there for a number of years. So Uranus sitting in Gemini is a really interesting combination, because Uranus likes to come in and sort of tip everything upside down and move things out of your life and do it with great speed, and sort of almost like the bolt of lightning striking the ground, and sort of, you know, we see the crackle of the lightning and we hear the thunder or whatever, and we sort of get a little bit, oh, hang on, I better pay attention. There's a storm on the horizon. There's something changing in the atmosphere. You know, it's sort of like there's electricity in the air. Well, this is what it's doing to your life. It's sort of like sometimes bringing in a storm or bringing in electricity into your life to sort of to get you to pay attention. Now, when we talk about the energy being in Gemini, obviously we're talking about the air signs, which is Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra, the opposite sign of Sagittarius, but it's also washing over all the remaining 8 signs. So Uranus here is sort of saying, be very, very careful what you wish for, because you might just get it. Be very careful of what you verbalize out into the universe. You know, if you open your mouth, make sure that it's something that you want. Don't just say something for the sake of saying something, or sometimes saying things in anger that you don't really mean. The universe is listening to all our conversations. It doesn't sit there and say and filter it and say, oh, well, Mary didn't really mean that she was angry. All it hears is Mary says, I hate my job. So as the universe hears that enough times and says, oh, well, Mary doesn't want that job, we'll take it away from her. Then Mary gets very upset because Mary did really want the job. She was just having a bad day. So you've got to be very careful. It's not so much the thoughts, it's what we verbalize out, or what we write out, or what we communicate. And it's a really difficult one, because people sort of, you know, we all get frustrated at times and we all say things in haste or anger or whatever. But it's when we keep repeating it, that we keep reaffirming it with the universe, that this is what I want and this is what I need. So we need to be really careful of that. I like the planet Uranus. I sort of always look for that in a chart when I'm doing a natal chart for somebody, and think, where is it that I can say to somebody, you've got this brilliance, that you things that you can bring in out of nowhere, things that are like the bolt of lightning, that you can shock or surprise people in a positive or negative way. So Uranus works very well. It takes 84 years to go around the zodiac. So as I said, it's going to be in Gemini for a long time. So it is affecting people. And, you know, it's not constantly tipping their lives upside down. It's just, it's there. And then when he sees the opportunity, he acts. So just be very careful of that. We're going to take our first caller is Bonnie in Bennington in Vermont in the USA. Are you there, Bonnie?
Yes.
Do you have a question I can answer for you, please, sweetie?
No, not one specific one. No, just looking for some peace in my mind. Yeah.
Some peace in your mind. Well, that's a good place to start, Bonnie. Okay. I always check with
Yeah.
people to see whether they have a direct question they want it answered, so that I make sure that I get to what you phoned into the show for. The
Yeah.
first thing that's telling me, Bonnie, is the fact that you're tired. I feel soul tired around you. Have you been feeling like this in the last 6 to 8 months, that sort of, not so much you could go and fall asleep in the middle of the day, but sort of like some days I'm really pushing myself to get going? It's like I need another coffee to
For
get sort of
for the
motivated.
past, yes, for the past year. Yeah, yes, yeah. I feel like I'm walking through cement.
Yeah, and to me, they were showing me, particularly from the last 8 months, it was sort of like that was when I think it really started to ramp up. It may have been building up from that point from the last 12 months. Well, I'm pleased to say that that's not gonna be the case for much longer. That energy is slowly starting to wind down now. Not that at the point that you'd probably notice it today, but you'll look back in a few months' time and say, "Oh, yeah, well, I could see where, I really started to get a little bit more energy. I didn't wake up one morning and all of a sudden I was raring to go." This was really important that the energy was made you to slow down, Bonnie, because I feel that you're such a normally a high octane sort of person. You don't give yourself the opportunity to slow down. You don't say to yourself, "I'm allowed to have a rest." You're either at top speed or you stop. There's no in between. And this was what
Right.
the powers that be were trying to teach you, that you can. It is okay to sit down. It is okay to have a rest. You don't need a reason to do so. You don't need to give yourself a license to do it. You can just do it. So that's good. And I think you've learnt that now, that not everything has to be done at breakneck speed anymore. During this time, though, Bonnie, have you had some really strong dreams? And I'm not talking about every night. I'm talking about every now and then. Has there been some sort of powerful downloads?
I've had a couple. Yeah, I've had a couple, which,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they didn't show me what they were about. They just showed me that there was a couple of, 3 or 4 maybe really powerful dreams. And what they were sharing with me around that was that, okay, even though you may not have fully understood them at the time, be able to call on that information or that knowledge when the time's needed. So don't stress about it. Normally I'd say to people, write your dreams down because they're important. But in your case, they're showing me the dreams will come back to you. Or it'll sort of like you'll replay it in your mind when it's absolutely essential, when that information is needed. So
Okay.
it's a time I think that you can say
Okay.
to yourself, that you're allowed to have a rest. You don't have to remember everything. You don't have to be everything to everybody else. We just have to look after Bonnie at the moment. From September, which I know is only days away now, it's like your life is slowly starting to gain momentum again. And we're just going to sort of glide through to the end of 2025 and then get ready for action in 2026. They're also showing me some changes to where you're living, and I don't mean a move. Have you been rearranging things or going through possessions or something like
I
that? Sort
have.
of like
Yeah. I've, yes, I've been doing that stuff, and it's been needed to be done for quite some time. Yes.
yeah, but they're just sort of saying to me, there's no race. You know what I mean? Like, do it when you feel the time's
Right.
right. And
Right.
it's sort
Yes.
of like, yeah, you'll just know what to keep and what to move on. And it's sort of all part of the
Yes.
process of getting you ready for some big changes next year. And I'm not talking about a move, but I mean changes in other areas of your life where I think you're going to sort of get that energy back again and that momentum back again. And it's going to be quite exciting, but it's sort of like it's more for Bonnie. It's not so much I'm trying to bring change in for other people. It's more for you personally, and that's a good thing. So, and
That's
also
a
your
good thing.
health is going to start to sort of turn back around again too. Not that they were showing me anything serious there. It was more the lack of energy than anything. And you were getting a bit concerned because you're just not used to being this sort of person that sits still. So that will start to come back too. But there's a lot of activity on
Right.
the other side. There's lots of people that have passed over that are running around hither and dither, getting things ready for you. But nobody's actually come forward, Bonnie, with a direct message that said to me, "Hi, I'm so and so, and will
Okay.
you tell this to Bonnie?" They're just sharing with me that they're very busy, that they're helping you get to where you need to go, and don't think they've deserted you because they haven't.
Okay. Yes. I lost 4 members in 10 months.
Right.
I lost the
Okay.
whole family in a 10 month period. Yes.
Well, that's a lot for anybody to deal with, Bonnie. But let me assure you,
Yeah.
they all seem to be happy and busy on the other side, and they're not
Good.
giving me anything in specific to share with you, other than they're very busy working on your life, helping you get to where you need to go,
Okay.
and that's
Good.
good. Okay,
Yes.
sweetie, that's
Very
where we're
good.
going to leave it. I hope that's helped you.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Bonnie. We're going to talk with Naren in Winnipeg, in Manitoba, in Canada. Are you there, Naren? What a pretty name.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, what a lovely name, Naren. I haven't heard that one before.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank
Do you have a
you.
question I can help you with, sweetie?
Yes, I'm wondering about a loved one's health
Okay.
and
Health is one
where.
of those tricky
Okay, let's leave it.
but health's one of those tricky areas, sweetie, but by different laws in different jurisdictions, we're not allowed to talk about health because I'm not a doctor, but I can look at it on an
Oh, no,
energetic
absolutely.
level. If you share with me that person's first initial, please, Naren.
The first initial is D.
D. Okay. The first thing I'm being shown is there's change coming up. That it's sort of like we've finally got some answers here, or sort of some direction here at what sort of has had it been a very difficult time for this person sort of to get some answers about their health. Like it's sort of nobody had a conclusive direction.
Correct.
Yeah, look, we may not have got all the answers just yet, but what they were showing me was it was like pages in a book. I'm flicking from one page to another, and it's like, aha, I've got it. It's like taking the card and saying, that's where it is. That's where the problem is. And then once they get to that point, then I feel that there can be some constructive decisions and treatments or suggestions made moving forward. Look, I don't know that this person is ever going to go back to full 100% health, but I'm certainly seeing improvement, and I'm certainly seeing them smiling again and sort of feeling like that they can actively participate in life again. And they haven't felt that way for a long time, have they?
No, they haven't.
Yeah, look, I don't think there's a miracle cure there, but I think there's going to be some suggestions or some medications or some treatments or some ways to give this person a fuller life, and give them some hope for the future that this is not necessarily going to be the end of them. And I think that's been the biggest concern, is because there hasn't been any answers. That how do you know what you're dealing with if you
Hmm.
don't have all the pieces to the puzzle?
Correct.
It, I'd
Yeah.
love to
Just as
say
long
that
as they
there
don't
was
leave
going to
me
be
anytime
100%
soon.
pure, but there is. What, sweetie?
I said, as long as they don't leave me anytime soon.
No, I don't feel that. I don't feel that at all. And I do feel that there's going to be, a huge improvement from where you are today. And when the answers come, it's going to be like, well, why didn't somebody go down that path before? Or why did they not do that test? Or why did they not think that way? It sort of seems pretty obvious, but yet with everything that this person's gone through with their different, symptoms, the pieces didn't fit
Hmm.
together like a jigsaw puzzle. It's like they fitted in four different puzzles, not just one. And that's why I think
Hmm.
everybody's been scratching their head trying to work out what it was. It may not have just been one condition. It may have been a crossover of a number of things, if that makes any sense.
It does.
But I don't see them going anywhere soon. And I look, I see lots of celebrations and happy times and balloons and birthday cakes and things like that. Not just a cake. I saw cakes with an S, so around this person. So I'm taking
Okay.
that they're going to be here for a very long time.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's time now for you, Naren, to to start looking after you a little bit too. They were showing me that you are, physically, emotionally, and soul tired as well. And it's like I want to give you a shot of adrenaline to sort of give you some energy. Like it's taken its toll on you with everything that's been going on. And I'm not saying that you wouldn't willingly do it over and over and over again. You would, but they're now showing me now you've got to start to look after you a little bit too. It is okay to say I'm tired, that I'm going to just sit down for 5 minutes, or I'm going to watch a movie, or you know what I mean. You don't
Yes,
always have to
I
be
do.
that person that is on top of everything. If the house needs dusting, so what? It'll be there tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I do.
allow yourself to be. Yeah, look, I had an uncle that's passed over that had a beautiful saying, and he used to say to me, "You don't disturb the layers of history by dusting." That was his answer to
Oh,
housework. And I thought that was really
I
beautiful. I
love that.
adopted that because I was one of those people that was always running around with the duster and the vacuum cleaner and the mop and whatever. And when he shared that with me, I thought, you're right. There's more to life than running around with a duster. And
Absolutely.
they just showed me that with you, that, like, take the pleasure of life. If you want to sit down and watch a movie, do so. It's always tomorrow. There's
Yeah.
always, another day that you can do things. And this will help you not be so tired. And I think there's also been plenty of people on the other side that have been trying to get through and give you some support or some messages or just to let you know they're there. But because you're so tired, and running from one thing to
Mhm.
another that you've never taken the time to just be, they haven't been able to get through either. And they mightn't have anything in particular to say. They might just want to sort of give you a hug from the other side, but that hasn't been possible because you're so tired, if that makes any
Okay.
sense. Yeah. Okay,
It does.
Naren,
It
that's
makes
where
a
we're going
lot.
to leave it, sweetie. I wish you well. And I know that there's plenty more birthday cakes to come.
Oh, thank you.
You're very, very welcome. It's always lovely when we talk to people from around the world, and everybody has a different journey and a different story to share with us. And it's always difficult when you're watching somebody, around you that you love and you care for, and they're not well and they're not getting answers. And it's like it's a very difficult sort of situation. Or if it's you that is experiencing, this incessant tiredness. And when I talk about soul tired, it's a different sort of tired from a physical or an emotional tired. It's like I just really can't get myself going. There's no messages flowing, there's no intuition because your soul is tired. So, that can happen to all of us from time to time. So, this week I want to leave you with a beautiful song. And just moments before I came on air, I was watching the local television morning show here in Australia, and this came on, and they were talking about the biggest hit in Australia in 1973. And I thought, oh, yeah, okay, I probably won't even remember what the song was. And when it came on, I burst into a big smile because I know somebody that's going to really smile when I mention who I'm going to talk about. And this song was actually recorded in 1972 by Bette Midler, and she didn't make a great hit out of it. But this particular lady, it went worldwide and was one of the biggest hits around the world, but it was number one this week on this day in Australia. And it's Helen Reddy with Delta Dawn. And I know somebody that's going to have a lovely smile on their face because they really like Helen Reddy's music besides me. So enjoy Helen Reddy and Delta Dawn. She was a very powerful woman, and she really set the stage for a lot of women, I think, to take their own power. So until next week, enjoy Helen Reddy and Delta Dawn. Bye for now.